Fallout New Vegas. It is a cult classic game, and for good reason, because it is awesome. Put together in about 18 months by Obsidian back in 2010, it has aged like a fine wine in a lot of ways, specifically for older school Fallout fans who really enjoyed intense roleplay, narrative consequence, and incredible narrative world building. And that's because modern Fallout is like Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition upgrades or next-gen patches that break everything and like still are being fixed to this day. In fact, there was a Fallout 4 like next gen update glitch that was introduced that broke VATS, like a core gameplay system in VATS, and it was broken for a year and a half. Like, it's unbelievable how incompetent they are when it comes to maintaining their own games, unless it's adding updates to their in-game store in the form of the creations system. It's really, I think, shameful at this point, but I could ramble about that for an entire video, which I've already done. You should check that video out. And besides Fallout 4 updates, they will do updates to Fallout 76 in preparation for the season 2 release of the show, but even Bethesda focused channels on YouTube have given those expansions largely mediocre or middling reviews. I'm not going to pretend to like love Fallout 76. It's not my kind of game at all. I just don't connect with it, but I think that's also kind of the point. Old school Fallout fans, they're not playing Fallout 76. It's just not the game for them. They want something narrative. They want something like really meaty on the bone. You know, they want that narrative world building. They want that consequence within actual role play. Like they want New Vegas, and they are not getting it with Fallout 76. I'll tell you what. And so that brings us to today, when a lot of Fallout fans have grown disenfranchised and frustrated with the state of the franchise and how Bethesda's been handling it. And there's been a lot of excitement and hope at the prospect of a Fallout New Vegas sequel, remaster, or remake. Even just a handful of days ago, Tim Kaine, one of the original creators of Fallout, he said that he is returning to Obsidian, the original creators of Fallout New Vegas, and is working on something that's unannounced, something exciting, something that you'll never guess, but he's come out of retirement to work full-time at Obsidian on something mysterious. And so a lot of people have gotten really excited at the idea that maybe New Vegas remake, remaster, or sequel is actually happening. And in this video, I'm gonna really blow you away, because I've done a lot of digging and it's almost certainly not happening. I'm sorry to do that to you. I'm sorry to get you excited and then rip it away. But like, I've done a lot of digging, and honestly, I just don't see it happening. I'm sorry. In order to believe that the Tim Kaine thing is related to Fallout, you have to kind of take him out of context and ignore a lot of what he says in that video announcing it, which I'll show you later. Todd has also made numerous statements that suggest that this isn't happening. And frankly, the only way that you can walk away from this saying that Fallout New Vegas 2 or Fallout New Vegas Remake Remastered is happening is if you put on some pretty strong cope glasses and take as gospel truth the statements from a number of like games journalists who have somewhat spotty track records with stuff, especially recently. And even if what those sources say is true, it still would mean the game is not coming anytime soon. It still puts it into next generation or like mid 2030s. Like, it's still a very long ways off. So I would not get your hopes up. Keep expectations low. You'll never be disappointed. And in this video, I'm going to explain why. And listen, I hope that everything in this video ends up being like just, it aged like milk. It's, this is like the worst aged video in history, because at the Game Awards, they announced Fallout New Vegas 2 or something. I hope that that's what happens. Let me be very clear. I hope I'm wrong about everything in this video, but I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear just for like easy clicks. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. And in this video, I'm going to make the case for you, and you can make up your own mind. Tell me in the comments if you agree or disagree, if I'm missing something. But after going through a lot of this, I just don't personally see it. I think the most likely outcome of all of the stuff happening with Fallout is that we get a Fallout 3 remake, remaster sometime in the next 18 months, most likely. And I think we get a crap ton more updates to Fallout 4's creations system for paid mods, and then also Fallout 76 updates to, of course, sell you even more stuff that ties into the show. I've tried to find other information or other things that point to possible connections to something more exciting, but I just don't personally see it. And I'm going to explain why in this video and show you interviews with Todd, statements from journalists allegedly leaking stuff, and even some leaked documents from the FTC hearings from Microsoft that leave a pretty large hole in the Fallout New Vegas sequel, remake, remaster theory. So buckle up. It's going to be a fun one. Sorry to break your heart. But before we get into it, a thank you to our sponsor for this video, Infinity Nikki, and their 2.0 update. Infinity Nikki is an open world adventure dress-up game where you play alongside Nikki, a stylish heroine with the power to create magical one-of-a-kind outfits. In this game, you'll complete creative challenges, unlock special powers, and explore the mysterious world of Maryland, filled with breathtaking environments and dreamy cities. The game is also about to launch its big 2.0 update that will bring with it a new era for the game. With this update, Nikki can now transform into an archer and participate in battle, with the bow and arrow becoming her core weapon, or in future battles, Nikki can switch between melee and ranged combat, bringing greater flexibility to her fighting styles. She can even transform into a giant, use a grappling hook, ride a snail of all things, and all of these will make exploring the world even richer and more interesting. More so, there are also new maps coming to the game, Elderwood Forest and Spira, within which there's completely new scenery, from mysterious primeval jungles to whimsical snail shell huts. And importantly, from here on out, you'll be able to freely choose your journey, whether it's the main storyline, side adventures, or just casual gameplay. It's up to you. In addition, there are 2 new 5-star limited edition costumes that will also be available with this update: Born Flawless, which is a Roman-style costume with archery abilities, and Behind the Prayers, an Arba-style costume with grappling hook abilities. In addition, several free costumes will be given away, including 1 free 5-star clothing, 1 free 5-star outfit, and 3 free 4-star outfits in the heart of Infinity. Check out the game today at the link in the video description box below or in the pinned comment and try it today. Okay, so at the outset, I want to be clear. In order to conclude that something is happening with Fallout New Vegas, we have to have evidence for that. We have to have something saying, yes, it is happening. And we have to weigh that against evidence that says it's not happening, okay? And most likely the scale will lean pretty heavily one direction or the other. For example, with the FTC hearings with Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard King, there were all sorts of legal documents that needed to be filed, including this one. This is actually a slide from a slideshow presentation that Microsoft had done back in July of 2020, but it would eventually accidentally be leaked. They were supposed to publish a bunch of official documents that the court had ordered to be released, but they accidentally published this one too. So we were never supposed to see it. It's why it says confidential up here, but they accidentally published it. Big oopsie. And now we have it because the internet is forever. Sorry, not sorry. But in this slide, you can see a bunch of very interesting things revealed. Not just the financial revenue forecast over on the right side of the slide for each of these releases, whether it be Dishonored 3, what their estimated revenue was going to be for the Fallout 3 remaster versus, say, the Elder Scrolls 6, and all of the other things. So you get an idea for how big they think each of these franchises is. But the other interesting thing, especially with the benefit of hindsight, is the release schedule and calendar. So they have free-to-play and mobile projects outlined here that they don't get too specific with. Just 1 plan, 3 plan titles, and that's it. But if we look over here on console and PC, they actually have outlined what they expected to release in each of these financial year windows on console and PC. And a lot of this would end up changing, of course. So for example, they have Starfield listed in fiscal year 2021. It would end up launching about 2 years after that. So you can take generally that timeline shifted about 2 years. In some cases, a lot of these were shifted by 2 years or 3 years or even further, but nothing ended up launching on time, okay? Probably because of the dark times and the thing that happened in 2020 that kind of threw all of this for a loop, but I mean, you know. But on this list were things that were not made public that eventually did end up being a thing. So for example, Doom Year Zero, that of course ended up being Doom the Dark Ages. And as of today, we still have not seen the mysterious DLC launch. You can also see there's additional DLC that's rumored for about a year later, but that would end up being Doom the Dark Ages, and that was not something that was made public at that time. Same thing with this big one that made all sorts of headlines when this slide first dropped, which is the Oblivion remaster that would end up releasing earlier this year to amazing reception. Like, people bought it in droves. It made a crap ton of money, even though like nowadays it's still like pretty buggy and broken. Not many people are talking about it, but it was a big moment when it dropped for sure. And also they revealed that a couple of years after the Oblivion remaster was expected to drop, a couple of years later, they expected to release the Fallout 3 remaster next to the Elder Scrolls 6 and an Elder Scrolls Online expansion. Now listen, all of this has shifted, all of this has changed, so this is certainly not what's happening. I mean, fiscal year 2024 has already ended, so they're not hitting the deadlines. But the important thing to remember is that their plan was for the Fallout 3 remaster to launch next to Elder Scrolls 6. And I've actually done an entire video on my live channel, which I'll have linked in the description box below, where I outlined why I think Elder Scrolls 6 almost certainly is coming in 2028. In my view, the most compelling piece of evidence pointing to that is that in 2023, Phil Spencer did an interview as part of these FTC hearings where he was sworn in under oath and giving official statements on behalf of Xbox and Microsoft. And during those statements, he said that with Elder Scrolls 6, they were talking about a game that was 5+ years away, which in 2023 would put it in the 2028 timeframe. So if they were trying to keep the original package of releases together, that would put Elder Scrolls 6 and potentially the Fallout 3 remaster in 2028 or later, assuming there's like, you know, no delays, it'll launch in 2028. But it would basically be probably like a launch title for whatever the next gen Xbox is, which kind of makes sense considering how big of a deal they expect it to be. I mean, on the right side of the slide, you can see that they have the Elder Scrolls 6 listed here, and they expect that to bring in $1 billion. $1 billion. That's how big of a game they expect it to be. With Starfield, they only projected it bringing in 600 million in its first fiscal year and then 215 in its second. I would love to know if they hit those targets. I mean, it's messy with like Game Pass being included, but the point is they expect Elder Scrolls 6 to be a huge deal. And so if it's slated for like 2028, it's going to be that launch title for Xbox, whatever they call it. And they want the Fallout 3 remaster next to it. At least they did a few years ago. So that's roughly the timelines we're talking. But to be fair, it's possible that the Fallout 3 remaster got shifted up. Maybe it launches in 2027 or 2026, and then Elder Scrolls comes a year later. That's also possible. But the most important aspect of this slide is that Fallout New Vegas is not listed anywhere on here. As of July of 2020, it was not in production or planned, unless it's one of these mobile titles, which I don't think any of us want. Okay, like, hey, y'all have phones, don't you? Hopefully that's not what it is. But you can see there is no Fallout New Vegas listed on here, which would mean that if it were eventually greenlit, it was greenlit after July of 2020, and that would put it almost certainly after all of these releases. And multiple of these releases are not expected to come for a year, 2 years, or 3 years, which would put the Fallout New Vegas remaster or remake probably after all of those, which starts to put us in that like 2028, 2029 timeline. And this is reaffirmed by something Todd actually said himself in an interview with the one and only Mr. Matty Plays back in June of 2024. And in this interview, I mean, he went through a bunch of stuff and talked about a bunch of stuff, but just listen to what he said about Fallout in general. Just take this in, take it in. And of course, go sub to Matty.
Feel really fortunate, and the team so proud of the work that's been done there. And then for other Fallout games in the future, you know, obviously I can't talk about those right now,
naturally,
but I would say sort of rushing through them, or we need to get stuff out that is different than the work we're doing in 76. You know, we don't feel like we need to rush any of that. You know, right now
we can tell
the Fallout TV show fills a certain niche in terms of the franchise and storytelling. Totally get the desire for a new kind of mainline single player game. And look, those things take time. I don't think it's bad for people to miss things.
Right.
This is the crazy thing though. Okay. So like, for one, he says that the TV show fills a certain niche for like storytelling and narrative within the Fallout universe. But like, I think that this is really representative of how Todd has approached a lot of things with his franchises that he's managing with Elder Scrolls and with Fallout. And that is that his attitude has been, if there is something being produced with that name on it, that should satisfy the fan base. And it's like in interviews he'll kind of let it slip that I think he's aware that that's not really how it works. But like Fallout 76 is not satisfying players like me who want the gritty narrative, who want the single player adventure experience. They're not interested in playing with a bunch of other players in sort of a light MMO. It's just not our thing. It's not the kind of game we want. Fallout is originally, and it was established as a single player RPG franchise. That's what we know and love. And so those other games are just not doing it for us. Same thing with like the show. I can like Fallout as a franchise. The show, even pretty good or even really good, but it's not the same. You know, like I can still want, and I do still want a game, even though the show is releasing. That doesn't mean that you can take years and years and years to get to the next game and that I'll be okay with it because at least I got a TV show. Like if anything, the TV show just makes me want another game even more because it reminds me of like this universe. I'm like, I want more of that, you know? But instead it's like, oh, well, no, you got the TV show. So now you should be okay with waiting even longer. Because again, I'm just going to remind you that as of right now, the dev timelines, and I've done this in videos and outlined it, so I won't go into all of the detail again here, but the current timeline is that Fallout 5 probably ends up releasing sometime between 2033 and 2035, which would put it 20 years after Fallout 4. 20 years. 20. Just take that in, okay? Like, no joke. There were 1-year-olds born when Fallout 4 dropped that could not walk yet, that might not have even had teeth, who will be legally allowed to drink by the time the sequel comes out. Figure that one out. Figure that one out. Like when Fallout 4 had come out, I had just graduated from high school. When Fallout 5 comes out, I will be approaching my 40s. That's upsetting. Okay, like that's upsetting. Thanks, Todd. It's okay to miss things my ass, bro. Like, come on, what are we doing? But this really is the attitude that they've had, is just there's not a lot of hustle. It's okay to miss things. That makes each release a big moment, and that's true, but that's the attitude. And so I think for him, like, bear in mind, this is what he says about his own franchises, his own games, revisiting the things that he's directly in charge of. With New Vegas, you're talking about like the redheaded stepchild or the black sheep of the family. It's a game that BGS, based on what I've read about it, it sounds like ZeniMax kind of push them into giving the rights of the game over to Obsidian. They gave them 18 months to throw something together because at the time it was unconscionable to release Fallout 3 in 2008 and then to have Skyrim in 2011 and then know that you wouldn't get back to like Fallout until 2015. It was crazy to think that you would have to wait 7 years between mainline entries in your franchises. And so ZeniMax was like, we can't let that happen. Give it to Obsidian to do something with, and then you'll go back to Fallout later. And they ended up putting together Fallout New Vegas, which is many people's favorite Fallout game. And it's always been a little bit of like bitterness I've noticed with BGS. Whenever they talk about New Vegas, it's always like, yeah, no, we're really, really pleased with what they did. You know, they did a good job. Yeah, there's just, it's the same energy as like the older brother whose little brother is really good at a sport that they also played, but like they're way better. Like maybe the older brother was really into like baseball, but then the younger brother is way better, is like already talking about getting in the major leagues at, you know, 17. And it's just like, okay, really happy for you. Really happy for you. But there's bitterness behind those eyes. You know, you could see it. You could see it. That's Bethesda and New Vegas, I think, which I think only reaffirms this already current problem for Fallout and Elder Scrolls, which is that they don't like to rush it. Do you think they're like breaking their backs over getting something done for New Vegas? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Especially when they have like Fallout 3 remaster remake coming down the pike as well. Like I don't see it. I don't see it.
So we just want to get it right and make sure that everything we're doing in a franchise, whether it's Elder Scrolls or Fallout or now Starfield, that those become, you know, meaningful moments.
Starfield
for everybody
76.
who love these franchises as much as we do.
I'm sorry, Todd. I'm sorry. It still gives me instantaneous heartburn to hear you say Starfield in the same sentence as Fallout and Elder Scrolls. It hurts. It hurts. It's just, maybe one day it'll be there. As of right now, it's not on the same level. I hate to be that guy. It's just not. Okay? It's not. Maybe one day. Not right now. But okay, that was a bit of a diatribe. But where does this leave us? Well, we know that as of July of 2020, it was not on the schedule, and BGS does not have a lot of hustle. I mean, even this year, they were supposed to have a whole expansion for Starfield drop, and they've just been totally silent. It seems like it's been delayed to next year, along with the PS5 port or whatever. So it seems like BGS's production timelines have slowed significantly. Their efficiency is in there's a development term for it. The crapper. That's it. It's in the crapper. And so I don't expect them to like all of a sudden be able to quickly throw together a New Vegas remake, remaster, whatever. They could partner with another team like Virtuos, but Virtuos also is doing a lot of other projects as well and isn't made of magic. So they would also need a good amount of time to overhaul that as well. So again, it's just the timelines are rough. If it is happening, it would be happening way later. But to be fair, there have been statements and things that have excited people that would suggest maybe it is happening. Specifically, there are two sources that I came across in digging around for this video that would suggest that New Vegas is going to get some sort of remake remaster treatment. And that is, for one, this tweet right here from Jez Corden. Basically, Cacti replied to this, Bethesda reportedly working on a Fallout 3 remaster. And what Cacti said was, this is bad for everybody except me and the other 5 Fallout 3 fans, Cope New Vegas fans. And Jez said, don't worry, New Vegas is coming too. So this, when this dropped, kickstarted a firestorm. I mean, literally people started immediately going, oh my God, it's happening, freaking out. And it started getting spread around the internet. People were like, oh my God, it's confirmed. And the reason they were saying that is because Jez Corden is a journalist with Windows Central, and he does have actual like sources. He does do actual reporting on stuff. But the thing to know about Jez, and Jez would say this too, is that he kind of sometimes mixes what I would say are like opinion pieces and just statements of opinion with his personal account on Twitter, or X, I guess, where he will make statements about games and things going on in the industry. And then people will then take it as, because you're Jez Corden with Windows Central, you are reporting this as happening. A great example of this just happened like a few days ago, where, you know, the big mysterious Game Awards statue, nobody knows what it's for. When this dropped, Jez Corden said that it was for Diablo 4 and it was for an expansion on Diablo 4. And so the internet concluded that's what it's for and was just like, oh, well, lock it in. I guess that's what it is. But then the one and only Jason Schreier, who has a lot of very, very reputable sources and does not typically swap in opinion pieces with reporting, he said, I don't know where he's getting that, and it's not for Diablo 4, so no. But he did say, I don't currently plan on reporting what it is, sorry, but it's a good one. So Jason apparently knows what it's for, and it's a good one, but it's not Diablo. And so Jez replied to this and basically said, oh dang, back to the mystery table, I really thought it was Diablo. There's good reason I thought it was Diablo. I've heard Diablo will be at the Game Awards with some cool stuff, so hopefully that's true. So he was basically making an off-the-cuff statement initially saying, looks like Diablo, it's Diablo. That's definitely what it is. Which if any of us said, it would just be like, oh, clearly that's your opinion. But when you're a journalist, people will then connect it as you are reporting that. And so in this case, when he's talking about New Vegas, I read this more like the Diablo assertion of the Game Awards statue. I read this as, don't worry, New Vegas is coming too. It's my opinion. I think it's coming. There's no way they don't. But like, I don't think he's reporting this. This wasn't in an article. He's not putting it together with like numerous sources have told me. He's making a post on Twitter and that's it. You know, like I don't think it's actually that serious. But because people really want the New Vegas remaster remake to happen, they're jumping on this and saying, look, it's confirmed by a journalist. Maybe not. I mean, I think it's a stretch, man. And even if you're like, oh no, he was reporting it, you could make the same argument about like the Diablo thing and then say that he just got debunked by Jason Schreier, and therefore you shouldn't believe what he says. Like, again, it's just, if we're going to take it as gospel truth, I guess you can say, okay, maybe he's got some source, but like, I think we're coping a little bit. But then the only other instance of a journalist suggesting that Fallout New Vegas remaster remake is happening came in somehow an even more vague and unclear statement. This was on the Friends Per Second podcast, which is very good. You should go check it out. Skill Up, Jake Baldino, and usually Lucy are all on here talking about stuff. In this episode, for whatever reason, Lucy was not able to be there, but they had a guest on. And this guest is actually a guy named Jordan Midler. He's one of the head guys writing over at VGC. Did this article, for example, Starfield has the fewest bugs of any Bethesda game, Xbox has claimed. So he does a lot of like reporting and writing on gaming just in general for VGC, and VGC historically does a like pretty damn good job. They're one of the best in my opinion. But he made this statement talking about Todd and BGS and everything else. Xbox was the general point of conversation, but he's about to go into why he thinks Todd is probably going to retire after Elder Scrolls 6 and not touch Fallout 5, which already is like X to doubt on that. Like, you really think Todd is going to do Elder Scrolls 6 and then like not touch Fallout 5, that he's going to walk away before that when he's already like revealed it's happening? Like, that to me is a bit of a stretch. Like, yes, he's getting older, but it's not like he's 80 years old. Like, he'll be in his 60s, I think, when they finish Elder Scrolls 6, and he'll still be in his 60s when they do Fallout 5. Like, really? You think he's like, he's not ancient? He'll be fine. But listen to what he says about all of this, okay? That's the context.
He's done with the next Elder Scrolls. I can fully see him being like, okay, I'm done. I'm an older guy now. They should. Yeah. There are multiple Fallout projects in development, including, as far as I'm aware, that one you're all wanting. But it's not far enough along to say anything that is like, you're going to be playing this game anytime soon. Fallout 5 should have been day one. Okay, we own these motherfuckers now. Let's get a game that says Fallout 5 on it out on the shelves. And they didn't bother.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, New Vegas 2 coming soon.
You. Hey, are you drinking Kyrie?
And then they don't follow up. I'm sorry. I love these guys. I've had the pleasure of meeting like Jake and seen Skill Up at events and stuff. I love these guys. It's so frustrating to me that like he just said something that big and then there's no follow up. It's like, so wait, what do you mean? Fallout New Vegas? Are you talking about a remake, a remaster? What are you actually claiming here? What is the actual claim? But it says, what are you drinking? I'm like, bro, don't let him get away with that, especially because it's like a very coy thing just tossed in there. But anyway, I could complain all day long about this stuff. But that is also one of the things that's been clipped to suggest that a Fallout New Vegas remake remaster is happening. And it's basically an offhand comment in the middle of speculation about Todd's retirement, where he says, as far as I'm aware, they're also working on the game that everybody wants. Anyway, Fallout New Vegas 2. Suggesting that that's also what he's talking about, is that it's a full-blown sequel. Like, again, I'm sorry, it's too cagey for me. It's like they're working on multiple things, including that one you want. Like, it's just vague enough where if literally anything happens Fallout related, you can be like, that's what I was talking about. So it's not specific enough to actually be a prediction. And even then, he even reaffirms in his own claim that it is not far enough along to actually like look forward to playing anytime soon. Like, it's still very, very far off. And so even then, like, there's not really much reason to get excited, you know, like, even if, which I think most likely what has happened behind the scenes. This is my hypothesis, okay? My hypothesis for what's going on. I think that Fallout popping off with the success of season 1 of the show was largely unforeseen by Xbox. I don't think they realized how big of a deal Fallout still was going to be. I think they thought Elder Scrolls all day long, and so that's where they put all their eggs into that basket. And when they saw the overwhelming popularity of the show and how many people that was driving into Fallout 76, they're like, oh God, we should have something ready. Fallout is still really big. And so then they probably could have explored greenlighting a sequel or a remake or remaster or something. And whatever that is could have started last year. It takes a long time to make games, right? And so it still would be years and years away, which would put it into that next gen era of release schedules, which puts it in that like 2028 to 2029 window, assuming no delays. The other thing to remember is that there's only so many studios out there who could work on a Fallout New Vegas project, and there's only so many that you would actually probably be excited to hear are working on a sequel or a remake. In the case of Obsidian, they could be working on it allegedly, especially in light of one of the other recent reveals, which was that Tim Kaine, actually one of the creators of Fallout, he actually has returned to Obsidian to work on some unannounced project that he's under NDA on and can't talk about. So he's come out of retirement to work on this full time. He moved to the studio to work on it. It's kind of a big deal, kind of crazy, frankly. But even in this video where he announces this, he talks people down off the ledge and says, you're not going to guess it.
I also can't talk about the project I'm working on at Obsidian just because, you know, that's covered under NDA. Don't bother guessing. You're not going to guess right. I would say that I'm probably a lot less retired now than I was before. So the whole video I have on being semi-retired, I guess I'm not.
I love the idea that he's like, am I retired? I don't know. But that's what he says. He's like, you're not going to guess it. You're not going to guess it. So a lot of people have gone into like the caverns of his previous projects and found games like Arcanum and are guessing that this is what he's working on. They're doing like a sequel or a remake or something of these games, or rebooting it. Like, who knows? Who knows what's going on? But the point is, in order to believe that he's working on like a New Vegas remaster remake, for one, if that's true, it just started. He just moved like a month ago to Obsidian. So it's definitely very far away. If they're doing a remake, a sequel, whatever, it's a long ways off if that's what he's working on. Secondly, he says you're not going to guess it. I would assume a lot of people are going to guess it's Fallout. And so he's saying don't even bother. So in order to believe that it's him, you'd have to believe that he's just flat out lying to everybody. He could be really coy if he wanted to, just be like, I can't talk about what I'm working on. I'm under NDA, but I am back at Obsidian, and just leave it there. But instead he says, don't bother guessing. You won't guess it. Maybe new IP, maybe something super old that's being revitalized or something. But I'd also be surprised if that's it. And also, like, Obsidian of 2025 is not the same Obsidian that made Fallout New Vegas. It's a very different company. They now mainly are making like AA sized games, and they're pretty solid, but they're like UE5 quick production games. The Outer Worlds 2, pretty solid. Avowed, pretty solid. But I don't think it's the same studio that made Fallout New Vegas. You know, it's not the same. It's been 15 years, you know, a lot of stuff has changed. Same with Bethesda Game Studios. Like, do you really want Bethesda Game Studios doing a remake or a sequel to New Vegas? Like, I don't know, man. You know, like, I love New Vegas. I love it dearly. I think the best thing for it would be like a remaster or a remake to give it technical overhauls and polish it up. I think that would be ideal. Give it to somebody like Virtuos, where that's their bread and butter. Give it to a very accomplished studio that focuses on that. I think a sequel would probably end pretty poorly, frankly. Like, I don't see that going too well, because I think everybody's idea of what it would be is very different from what you'll actually get. You know, maybe the best representation of this idea is what actually just happened, which was for the Fallout New Vegas 15th anniversary. They could have done like a single picture saying a remake is coming, a remaster or whatever, but instead they revealed this, the Fallout New Vegas 15th anniversary bundle. This was on Fallout Day back in October, and it is a $155 version of New Vegas Anniversary Edition, which is already available for sale. In fact, when this happened, when they revealed this, it was on sale for, I believe, $4 on Steam, which means that you are paying $150 for the statue. And this statue, I don't know if you can tell, but this is a render. This is not an actual picture of a statue that's been manufactured. This is a render. So the statue isn't even real yet. They haven't made them. They didn't even make a mock-up of it, like a test version of it. This is a render. So like, you know, you want New Vegas, you get a $150 plastic statue that's 8 inches tall. Like it's tiny. Okay, like this is what you get, and you're gonna be happy about it. So listen, with all this, I just want to be clear. I would love for there to be like a revitalization of Fallout New Vegas. I would love for it to get a graphics overhaul and engine upgrade so that it runs better. Like I would love for all of that. Like a built-in disabling of mouse acceleration in menus. That would be great, so I don't have to go into the INI files. Just like all of those little quality of life things would be awesome. But like, do I think it's gonna happen? Personally, not anytime soon. I think if it does happen, it will be early to mid next gen in the lead up to Fallout 5. And that's going to be about it. The one thing we do know is coming is the Fallout 3 remaster, which allegedly Bethesda is handling more in-house, which I don't find more exciting personally. I'd rather Virtuos just does it, but allegedly they're more involved with the Fallout 3 remaster than they were with the Oblivion one. But that's what we do know is happening. As for a Fallout New Vegas, anything, we don't know anything about it, and there's only very, very thin statements from a couple of people to point towards it happening. And I think that this is maybe one of the other important things to just keep in mind with all of this, which is that if New Vegas 2 were happening, there would be a studio assigned to it. There would be employees working on it. And with that comes the potential for leaks and rumors and speculation and all sorts of stuff that comes with that, especially for big, identifiable, big name projects like a New Vegas remake or sequel. And none of that's really happened. You get offhand little comments from journalists, but they aren't like putting articles together, reporting on it with sources. You aren't seeing Tom Henderson reported on Insider Gaming. There's not like any concrete evidence that it's actually happening. Instead, it's just rumblings and speculations, assertions without evidence or sources. That's like the same level of stuff we've gotten with like the Bloodborne remake or sequel rumors, or the same level of stuff we've heard with like, you know, Despacito 2. Yeah, it's just claims, and claims are worth nothing. Anybody can make them. You know, I can claim that, oh, I saw Fallout New Vegas 2. I spoke to somebody at Summer Games Fest and they were working on it, but it's very hush hush, and that's all I can say. I could claim that, and that has the same weight as all of the other claims that have been made, which is to say nothing. Okay, you shouldn't believe me if I just assert something. So at this point, I hate to say it, but I think that there's not really any evidence to suggest that a New Vegas sequel is actually in the works. Maybe there's a remake or remaster that's been greenlit in the last few years, but that would put it so far away that I wouldn't get excited about it just yet. You know, it's got to be very, very early on, and I would not get my hopes up. So if you're a fan of Fallout, I think you got to wait a little bit longer. The Fallout 3 remaster should be coming. The original goal was for it to launch close to the Elder Scrolls 6, which would put it around 2028. I personally think that the Fallout 3 remake or remaster comes before that, probably 2026 or 7, but time will tell with it. But I think that it's pretty clear that you got to take Todd at his word. He has said numerous times that he views Fallout 76 as a current offering for Fallout players. When he's been asked in interviews during the Fallout TV show press tours, and they ask him about when's Fallout 5 coming, he says, well, Fallout 5 is coming after Elder Scrolls 6, and you know, it's we're really proud of what the team behind Fallout 76 is doing. We have a new expansion coming out. He immediately pivots to that because, again, his viewpoint is that the secondary offering should satisfy the fans just as much as the other ones. So if you're a Fallout fan, you got Fallout 76 and you have a show, be happy. Don't ask him for anything else. Sit down, consume. And I think, you know, when he tells you many times, be patient, stuff isn't coming for a long time, Elder Scrolls is a long time away, at some point you got to actually believe what he's saying and take him at his word. And at this point, I don't see New Vegas 2 or remaster happening this generation, or potentially even this decade. But you might have watched this video and been surprised that there wasn't like more in favor of it, especially because a lot of people have just been blindly asserting that it's happening. But that's honestly just where we are. There really is not much evidence to suggest it's happening other than claims and assertions, and that's about it. But I will say, if you want to play the game and check it out with some overhauls, there's a lot of guides. This one from Iro, this mod pack remasters Fallout. You can see some of the stuff that they've done to overhaul the graphics and cutscenes and all sorts of different projects and areas of the game, whether it be New Vegas or Fallout 3. Like, there are some crazy mod packs to overhaul the game, and frankly, in the current age of Fallout and the next gen update and everything, chances are these mod packs will look and run better than any sort of remake or remaster that BGS would put out themselves. It's sad to say, but I think that's just where we are. So maybe take this opportunity to download some mod packs, figure out how to mod your version of the game, because there is a lot to enjoy. There's a lot of work that very talented modders have done over the last 15 years, and it's free, unlike the stuff that Bethesda offers. So maybe check that out. But that's gonna do it for me. Thank you for watching. As always, make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed the video, or don't. I'm not your dad, I can't make you, but I do appreciate you watching, honestly and truly. Let me know what you think of all this. Do you think that I've missed something? I don't know. I see articles like this, you won't guess what he's working on, which kind of implies it's sarcastic, and it drives me crazy because in the video itself he's like, don't bother guessing, you won't get it. But all of these reports and outlets are like kind of framing it in a cagey way where they're not technically wrong, just to generate buzz about New Vegas, when that's probably not what it is. So I don't know. I would love to be wrong, but I don't think I am. Oh, dude, this is another one. I'm sorry. VGC, they do these things where they're not technically wrong. A lot of outlets do this, but VGC does it as well. They're usually very, very good, but they do these things where they're not like they're not technically wrong. Where Todd Howard says he's super lucky to be working on multiple games alongside Fallout Season 2, which a lot of people will read and assume like Fallout and Elder Scrolls, or Fallout and Fallout New Vegas remake, or 3 remaster, like whatever. What he's actually talking about in the clip is that like he's super excited and blessed to be working on like, you know, Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 76 and Fallout Shelter. And like, you know, it's just, it's frustrating. So, you know, read the articles, look at the interviews, don't just read the headlines. That's the point. Anyway, I'm going to call it there. Thank you for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me. I love you all. I'll see you in the next video. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.